East wind 78, clear 47 tonight, sunny 77 tomorrow, Sunday mostly sunny, high of 72. Staff meteorologist John Weatherby, Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Right now it's 75 degrees and the Dow is down 153 points at 17,297. S&P 500 down 16 at 2,030 and the NASDAQ down 54 at 49.52. Reporting for Money Radio, I'm Ken Morgan.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, and the World Wide Web at moneyradio1510.com. It's Friday, November 13th, and I got to tell you, this is why we live here. It's 73 degrees out, and we're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. And we got a beautiful day on hand, going to be up to 80 degrees. Loving life here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So our show is a show that is all about how our aging adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And I've been privileged to be broadcasting now almost for 2 years. And really the premise of our show is bringing meaningful content to our radio listeners. And we bring meaningful content by bringing some incredible guests. And if you're new to the show, if you want to listen to some of the podcasts that we've done over the last 2 years, I welcome you to go to cypresshomecare.com. There's a radio button up on the top or midway down. You can listen to nearly 80 shows that we've been doing since January 2014. Again, we bring meaningful content by bringing incredible guests. And there is no more incredible guests than I have today, and today I am very privileged to bring Richard Lasota. He's the Division Director of Business Development for Life Care Centers of America. And Life Care Centers of America is all about long-term care living, and they have a post-acute, they have many post-acute centers here in town to help our aging adult population bounce back and live a meaningful life. So, Rich, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Bob. Glad to be here. Glad to be in this beautiful studio here. Couldn't think of a better way to spend Friday the 13th than with you here and with your audience. Glad to be here.
Well, it's good to have you, and you've got an incredible radio voice. Have you ever done radio before?
Yeah, it's been a number of years. When I was in high school back in Detroit, back in 1983, I was on the high school radio station. We had a big WSHJ out in Detroit. It was a big 100-watt power station.
WSJ.
Yeah, if the wind was blowing right, you could get a clear reception from us.
For at least a couple miles.
For a couple miles, yeah.
Well, listen, welcome to the show, and I'm really happy to have you on the show because as I look at my guests that I've had since January 2014, I have not had somebody from your type of living community, if you would, long-term care facility to help people with the aging process, recovering from injuries, acute illnesses. Talk to us a little bit about Life Care Centers of America.
Well, Life Care Centers of America is going on 40 years old company. Started our owner, Forrest Preston, started the company with a desire to change the way care is provided in nursing homes. He truly believed there was a better way to do it and truly believes in providing beautiful facilities and comfortable environments and a healing environment for the patients that we serve. Life Care is in over 20 states throughout the country. We have over 200 facilities, and we also have assisted living facilities throughout the country, and we also have a division of physicians. We have physicians we employ who are full-time in our facilities, helping care for the patients that we get.
So we have a number of Life Care centers right here in Arizona. I think there are 10 total, but, how many do we have here right in Maricopa County?
Well, in Maricopa, we have, there's 5 facilities in Maricopa. We have Mikasa Nursing Center out in Mesa. We have Desert Cove Nursing Center in Chandler. Life Care Center of Scottsdale, which is not too far from you and I right here, Bob.
Right.
And we have Life Care Center of Paradise Valley and Life Care Center of North Glendale. So we've got them from the west side to the east side.
And typically each one of them, can serve a certain number of patients. So, let's just take the one down in Scottsdale. How many patients typically are in that facility there?
Well, that's a facility. Life Care Center of Scottsdale is a little bit unique facility. We have, there's no long-term care services there. It's all short stay rehab services. So folks who are bridging from their hospital stay to home, and then they're not quite ready to go home. They're not quite strong enough to make that transition home. Life Care Center of Scottsdale provides outstanding rehab services and help get those patients home. We have about 60-some patients. They're all private rooms, beautiful facility.
I've been there. It's awesome. It is absolutely awesome. And to your point, they're looking. If you had to refer to that Life Care Center of America in Scottsdale location, you'd be more referring it to more of like a rehab hospital, right? It's a hospital where 20 to 30 days is about the stay of those patients.
Yeah, it depends. Some patients very quick stays, maybe a week, and we have some people, depending on their illness and the severity of their illness and the care needed, some people who stay, like you said, a few weeks with us. So it is an incredible environment, incredible staff, great place.
And, with the Affordable Care Act, we know that hospitals are looking to get people out, and they don't want them back. And, a lot of people can't get discharged to home. And typically, I think what you and I see, because we're in this profession, and I want our listening audience to really understand this, typically if somebody has a major acute illness or if they have a major injury, they like to call it in the medical profession an event. Yes. They've had a medical event. Typically, they will go from that setting into Life Care Centers of America, correct?
That's correct. These are there are people who just after their illness or the onset of that illness, it could be a physical illness or it could be a traumatic injury such as a fall with a fractured hip, where you just can't quite make that leap from the hospital straight home, not strong enough, need some rehabilitation. Yes, and you're right, Bob. With the Affordable Care Act, hospital stays are becoming shorter and shorter. Yep. And so as the hospitals look to shorten their lengths of stay, they do look to the skilled nursing facilities and the rehab centers to complete that care, to get that patient strong enough so they can return home and have a successful transition home.
And the nice thing about Life Care Centers of America, having been in this business now for 12 years, my family being in the business nearly 22, you've got a substantial footprint in this community, and you've got an incredible reputation too. So these hospitals have to be gravitating to Life Care Centers and saying, okay, you're on their referral list. You're transitioning that patient from that hospital setting into that rehab setting.
Oh, no, and I appreciate that, Bob. We do. We have worked very hard to make sure that the patients who come into our facility, the people we serve on a daily basis, that we are providing them the highest quality care in a warm, friendly, clean environment.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's our cue. We're up on a break. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I've got Richard Lasota from Life Care Centers of America. We'll be right back.
Are you
concerned about the credit default crisis that's brewing and the potential for another stock market and real estate crash? The question is, how do you protect your wealth from these devastating cycles? Well, if you're an accredited investor, maybe it's time to do what the super wealthy do. They focus on wealth protection and preservation, and they include loss avoidance assets like timberland to safeguard their money. In 2008, when the stock market fell 37%, timber rose more than 9%. If your focus is on growing money safely, then join me, Craig Colley of Precious Timber, at Financial Fest as I discuss why alternative agriculture now. The ultra-wealthy insist on holding timber as a core foundational asset. Shouldn't you do the same? Meet me, Craig Colley of Precious Timber, live November 14th at Financial Fest in Scottsdale, Arizona for 2 seminars at 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. The seminar is for accredited investors only who won't wait until it's too late. At Precious Timber, we grow money, and so can you.
Haven't you known a family member or a friend grow old and need help? Maybe it was due to an accident or illness or simply aging. Isn't that a difficult thing? It's even worse when there has been no plan on how to pay for the extra health or care expenses. This Saturday morning at 10, host of My Smart Retirement and certified financial planner Nancy Fleming will delve into this touchy topic. Learn about possible solutions that may help you or someone you love. Don't miss this informative show this Saturday morning from 10 to 11 right here on Money Radio.
Attention Financial Fest attendees. Join Pipeline Oil and Gas CEO and best-selling author Brandon Cox for an exclusive seminar and breakfast. Learn how direct participation investment opportunities in oil and gas can earn you exceptional returns, significant tax benefits, balance your portfolio, and guard against inflation. So join Brandon Cox and the team at Pipeline Oil and Gas for coffee and commodities at the 2015 Financial Fest from 8:30 to 10 a.m. Free to attend and learn about the amazing opportunities in oil and gas. For more information, visit financialfest.com.
ShopVac. Stop in your nearest Lowe's store today and see why their newest wet-dry vac is clearly different. ShopVac, genuine American original.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. If you're just tuning in, we're on our second segment, and I've got Richard Lasota. He is the Division Director of Business Development for Life Care Centers of America. And if you missed the first segment, you can catch it right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com, and you can catch about 79 or 80 others up there. But I've got Richard here in the house, and we're going to talk about Life Care Centers of America. We're going to talk about skilled nursing. We're going to talk about rehab. So when we took the break, we were talking about that transition that people are making from that hospital over to your place at Life Care Centers of America, and certainly talking about the reputation that you guys have garnered here in our community for probably the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's serving this community has been great for us. This is I'm not going to say that healthcare is not a challenge and does not have its challenges, but we are very glad to be a part of this community and serving the people who call this great state home.
You know, it's interesting, and as you talk about healthcare being a challenge, all of us who are in this field realize we're in a very fluid state because things are changing. The healthcare that our fathers and mothers and grandparents had is long gone, and the healthcare that we had yesterday is gone too. So we're in this new paradigm, and we're learning together how to provide and care for so many people in our community. And it's companies like Life Care Centers of America, it's companies like Cypress Home Care that have been here in our valley for over 20 years, have established their reputation. We get it. We can change. We can change and be able to deliver the same quality that we've come to be known for over 20 years. And I know that you guys have had to change. We've had to change.
Oh, sure, Bob. It's a daily discussion with our management trying to figure out, as the healthcare environment and the landscape changes, how do we continue to deliver the same high quality or increase the quality of that care, increase the satisfaction of our customers, all with the challenges we have financially that face us in the healthcare market.
Good point about financials. Okay, so financially, I mean, we know what the Affordable Care Act is. intended purpose is for. We want to insure as many people as we can, and we want to provide health care to the masses. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to be paying for it. So my question to you, especially when it comes to rehabs and long-term care facilities like Life Care Centers of America has, how does Life Care Centers of America get paid?
Well, there's really two segments of our business, as we discussed earlier, Bob. The long-term care side of the business, or the custodial care for folks who just can't take care of themselves on a daily basis and need help meeting those daily
activities.
Yeah, they're getting their daily needs met. That's paid for one of two ways: either privately. People pay privately for that, which is, as you can imagine, is quite costly, and not a lot of folks have those sort of resources available to them. Or folks will then apply for the Medicaid system or the access system here in Arizona. So that's where our funding comes from that side of the house. For the short stay or the rehab patients who are just trying to make that transition from the hospital to home and aren't quite ready to hit home, the payment comes from the patient's insurer, whether it be Medicare or whether you've signed up for one of the Medicare Advantage plans, or you have commercial insurance through your employer or through your retirement plan. Those are the folks who pay. But folks have to realize, too, there are copays, there are deductibles, and there is some out-of-pocket that could, the patient could be responsible for. Not a lot of people realize it, Bob, because let's face it, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, gosh, I hope today I end up in a skilled nursing facility. Boy, oh boy. It doesn't happen. We don't think about it until something happens, an unexpected illness, or like I said, a fall with a fracture. Then you're laying in the hospital and they're telling you you're going to a skilled nursing facility. Now you're trying to figure out, okay, what's going on? Who's going to pay for that? How does that get paid for? So that's the time folks usually think about that. So the answer is really easy. With folks with traditional Medicare will cover the first 20 days of stay in a rehab center 100%. There's no out-of-pocket cost to the patient. Starting day 21, right now, Medicare's copay starting date for the patient is $157 a day. So if your length of stay in our facility exceeds that 20th day, starting day 21, you have a financial responsibility of $157.
So if you're there for 30 days, you're on the hook for almost $1,600.
That's correct.
Okay, got it.
That's correct. Now, some folks have their Medicare supplement insurance, so they have a secondary insurance that will cover those copays.
Got it.
But not everybody has those type of policies. Now we also have folks who are maybe in a managed care program, so they've elected like a United or a Cigna or Humana, for in lieu of their Medicare benefits. The only thing I can advise our listeners today is those plans have many products with varying amounts of cost to the patient, for anywhere from no cost per month to having to pay a small amount of money per, which means differing benefits. So I really advise folks, if you're in a position where you're going to be going to a skilled nursing facility, give your insurer a call and ask what is that benefit? Do you have any copay? Do you have any out-of-pocket responsibility? Because some of those plans if you have a real good plan, it'll cover you 100%. Others may have, starting day one, there's out-of-pocket expense. That's the responsibility of the patient. So I really advise you to make that call and find out what your particular policy covers.
You gave the scenario that, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, this is what I'm going to do. And, we've talked about it here on our show over and over again, and I can't reiterate it enough that you have to plan. And, families that are listening, individuals that are listening, this is the holidays coming up right now. We got Thanksgiving a week after next. It's not a topic that is sexy. It's not something that you really want to have in terms of, this type of discussion, but we should be having these discussions. We should be having these discussions about what our wishes are as we near the end of our journey. And when you're in the long-term care space, we talk about life as a journey. And what is it we want our life to look like? And how do we enable ourselves to be able to afford the things that we want to have, whether it be assisted living, whether it be long-term care, whatever it is. These are the days now that we talk about while we're well, because when you show up in the hospital and there you are getting discharged and you don't have the proper affairs, you don't have the proper policies, you don't have the economic resources to be able to make that next step, it's a shame. I mean, it really is.
It is, Bob. It's tough, especially if you're somebody who's on a fixed income, if you're relying, say, on your Social Security payments. You think about $157 a day, that's a lot of money to somebody with limited income.
It is.
So, and we work every day with patients who, they're approaching those days when they're going to have some financial responsibility, and they're really worried about that. And we're trying to be creative and figuring out how can we get you home safely without having you maybe incur some of that expense. But we have to think too, Bob, saving $157 one day and going home too early and having another accident at home or a fall to go right back in the hospital and start over again is going to cost a lot more than that $157.
It is. And the one thing that I am enamored with, really, with the Life Care Centers of America is that you guys realize that you can't do this alone. And you have formed relationships with other care providers in the care spectrum to help these patients that you discharged to be successful in their discharge and their outcomes that you're looking to achieve, so that they don't show back up in your skilled nursing facility or show back up in the hospital.
No, that's correct, Bob. We are looking to partner with companies, so those companies that take over the care after the care is finished in one of our centers or one of our skilled nursing facilities, whether that be with home health care or maybe somebody just wants to hire somebody privately like Cypress Home Care. We want to be able to feel comfortable at Life Care that we are recommending companies that are reputable, who we feel good about, and who are really going to work with us as a partner to help that patient have a successful transition home. And yes, let's work together to keep folks from having those return to the hospitals.
It literally takes a village, doesn't it?
It does take a village. And like I said, there's a lot of companies out there who provide these services, but we have been very careful about the way we select the companies that we work with, because like I said, it is very important that we feel comfortable recommending companies that we feel give excellent care.
And just in my limited time in getting to know you, the thing that I think I appreciate more than anything, by using the word village, I really believe that the success of Life Care Centers of America is that you've developed these relationships, and it's more of a team-based approach. You're not discharging somebody and they're sitting in a silo. You are encouraging the communication to happen, and you and I both know communication is vital to success.
Oh, absolutely. We were talking a little earlier, Bob. The old ways of discharging a patient from the skilled nursing facility home was at the last minute. We were like, all right, it's time to go home. Let's get all these services put together. And there's a little bit of a mad scramble that occurs, trying at the last minute to get services in place to make sure we have a safe transition home. But at Life Care now, we've moved that discharge planning process to the beginning of the stay. So you may come in and think, why the heck? I just got here. Why the heck are you talking to me about going home? I just got here. But the reason is we need to start planning early. Let's get the people in front of you who are going to potentially provide those services in your home to you to help you make that transition. So when that time comes, you feel comfortable with those folks, you feel you've made a good decision, and you are going to have a good transition home. We don't do the mad scramble at the end. We start early on planning.
And the problem with the mad scramble is things fall through the cracks. You and I both know when you don't plan and you rush things, you miss things. Smart on Life Care Centers of America. I want to talk more about it. We're up against a break. My name is Bob Roth. I've got Richard Lasota from Life Care Centers of America here. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
In a speech in Iowa last night, Donald Trump ridiculed GOP presidential competitor Dr. Ben Carson. Trump said Carson's story about a long ago stabbing is ridiculous.
He lunged that knife into the stomach of his friends, but lo and behold, it hit the belt. It hit the belt, and the knife broke. Give me a break.
Ben Carson says voters would have the final say in the matter.
They will listen, and they will be able to make a decision about whether they want to listen to the usual politics of personal destruction, whether they want to deal with something better.
A Utah judge reversed his decision to take a baby away from her lesbian foster parents after widespread backlash. Court officials today reversed an order and now will allow the 9-month-old to stay with the foster parents. A Pentagon spokesman says officials are reasonably certain they killed the ISIS militant jihadi John with a Hellfire missile fired from a drone. I'm John Trout.
Do you have $10,000 or more in federal student loans? You may qualify to have your entire student loan forgiven with one free call. That's right. If you're a teacher, nurse, police officer, firefighter, or work for a nonprofit, then you may qualify to have your entire student loan forgiven. The Student Loan Council wants to give you free information on all the student loan programs that can help. The sooner you call, the faster they can help. Get the maximum loan forgiveness, loan reduction, or loan consolidation available. Plus, find out in the first free call what you qualify for. Loan forgiveness specialists are standing by to answer all of your questions for free. So stop worrying about federal student loan payments. If you have more than $10,000 in federal student loans, this information could change your life. Call 800-579-4409. That's 800-579-4409. Wipe out your federal student loan debt. Find out how. Call 800-579-4409. That's 800-579-4409.
Money Radio presents Financial Fest. Financial Fest, Saturday, November 14th. Get all the details, including our new location at financialfest.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Turner, president of Turner Capital Investments, and I want to let you know that I'm not like most money managers. I'm a market directional, tactical money manager. I deal with clients who want to be proactive with their portfolios by keeping their money in sync with the market, capitalizing on bull trends and bear trends. What does that mean for you? I won't ever put a penny of your money into a buy and hold mutual fund that can be decimated in the next bear market. I focus only on high quality stocks and ETFs. Most money managers believe only in a buy and hope approach to investing. I believe in taking advantage of major market trends, bull or bear. A major bear market is long overdue and will crush buy and hold strategies just like it did in 2002 and 2008. If you think it's time to get proactive and invest where the market is, rather than guessing where the market might be, then come see me, Mike Turner, at Money Radio's Financial Fest this November 14 at the JW Marriott Desert Ridge Resort, or visit TurnerCapitalInvestments.com for more information. That's Turner Capital Investments, the right strategy at the right time.
With happiness, opportunity, and technology every Tuesday at noon, host John Barnabas builds on the success of the short segment Executive Technology Bites, Mondays on Business for Breakfast. Each week, Hot features an in-depth discussion on the Money Radio technology portfolio of promising technology-oriented stocks and exclusive interviews with key personalities within those companies in the portfolio. Join John Barnabas every Tuesday at noon for happiness, opportunity, and technology exclusively on Money Radio.
Coming off a record-breaking season, NAU Lumberjack basketball is ready to make a run to a Big Sky Conference championship, and you can hear all of the Lumberjack basketball action in the Valley of the Sun only on Money Radio, 99.3 FM and 1510 AM.
Tune in this Monday to hear the Lumberjacks take on the Boise State Broncos. Pre-game starts at 6:30 p.m. right here on Money Radio 99.3 FM and 1510 AM.
Shop Vac. Stop in your nearest Lowe's store today and see why their newest wet-dry vac is clearly different. Shop Vac, genuine American original.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. The punches are flying in the battle between the state of New York and the fantasy sports sites DraftKings and FanDuel. On Wednesday, New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman ordered the companies to stop operating in the state, alleging they violate state gambling laws. Today, DraftKings and FanDuel both filed suit to prevent them from being shut down. And now Mr. Schneiderman is pressuring at least two payment processors to cut ties with those companies. Korean automaker Kia is recalling more than 250,000 sold compact SUVs sold in the U.S. because their steering could fail. The company said the adhesive that holds steering parts together may not be strong enough and the parts can separate. The recall covers Souls from the 2014 through the 2016 model years. Stocks remain sharply lower. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 143 points. The NASDAQ is down 53. That's your money now.
I know you've heard the IRS has the right to freeze your assets, garnish your wages. Good news is they can also give you a way out called the Fresh Start Initiative, a tax debt compromise program designed to save you serious money. Optima is the nation's leading tax resolution firm, over 300 professionals to help ensure you pay the minimum, not a penny more. Thousands call every month. You can call right now. Optima. That's Latin for cut me some slack.
Call 800-295-2867. 800-295-2867.
Optima Tax Relief. When you run a small business, even the smallest decisions are stressful. But there's one that's easy. The decision to make your business better by switching to Vonage's award-winning cloud-based communication service. With seamless mobility between your devices, so your employees can connect with your customers while on the go. Call 1-800-5VONAGE or go to Vonage.com to make the switch now. Call 1-800-5VONAGE or sign up at Vonage.com. Vonage, the business of better.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We've got Richard Lasota from Life Care Centers of America here in the studio, and we are talking about long-term care services. And specifically, we're talking about skilled nursing, we're talking about rehab, and we're talking about how the healthcare system has changed, and it really has. I mean, the paradigm has shifted, and at the break, we were talking about, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. In our world, we got to constantly be looking at how do we improve and be better, because it is fluid. It is changing every single day. And the delivery of care that Life Care Centers of America has built their heritage on has always been exceptional, as is Cypress Home Care Solutions. And we just can't sit back and try to do the same thing. We have to sometimes reinvent ourselves so that we remain at least a viable healthcare delivery system in our ever-changing world.
Oh, no, absolutely, Bob. It is, as much as we hate to think of it, healthcare is a business, and it takes finances and it takes money to make the whole system work.
It does.
My employees and your employees, they all want to be paid at the end of the day so they can pay their bills. And it becomes increasingly important that we look at the resources that we have available to us for each of the patients that we serve and figure out how do we best utilize those resources to get the best outcomes we possibly can for our patients.
And I think the optimum word is exactly what you just said, outcomes. And I think, what the new paradigm for us in healthcare is outcome driven. I mean, before, especially being a provider, it's always been fee for service. And we're going to only pay you X amount. But, I mean, the whole point of the Affordable Care Act is to improve the outcomes so that the patients that get discharged back to home don't come back.
Oh, absolutely. More and more focus has been put on the performance of the providers and the deliverers of health care. Like you said, in the old fee-for-service days, everybody, as long as you did something, you were reimbursed for it. Now we're looking at performance-based reimbursement, so the better outcomes you're able to achieve for your patients, that's going to equate to better, income for the company, which is going to allow them to do even more and provide even more services for their patients.
And I think that, with the Office of Inspector General and, Medicare fraud, I think we're doing a better job because so many dollars, and you've been at this for 25 years, and I've been at it for 12, but my family's been in it for 22 almost. There are too many people that were abusing the system and just taking advantage of it.
No, absolutely. I think just simply getting rid of the fraud and the waste in the system is a huge first step, and that's why I see what we're all trying to do is to make sure, like I said, we're good stewards of the resources available to us and we're not squandering or wasting those dollars.
What's interesting is I've lived here in the community for almost 22 years, and really just to see how, we've become a healthcare hub in the country is certainly here. I mean, the hospitals and the research that is being done here, the work that's being the work is being done to fight cancer. And I've talked about Alzheimer's. You know, we have the Banner Alzheimer's Institute here. We've got Sun Health. We've got the consortium. We've got so many people that are doing some great things right here in our backyard.
Oh, no, absolutely. I cannot tell. I don't remember ever a time. So I've been a nurse for 25 years. I can't remember a time when there's been so much collaboration and working together to make sure that when we transition patients from one care setting to the next, that we have a good handoff. We optimize the outcomes, and we reduce any chance as much as possible of that patient having to return to the hospital and starting that whole care episode over again. So, yeah, lots of great stuff going on out there right now.
Goes back to the village.
It goes back to the village.
And speaking of that transition, you know, you have some tips for us in terms of how do you pick? Because a lot of times what happens is when you're in the hospital, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, when you're in the hospital, they give you a list of potential providers that you can go to. Could be home care, could be home health care, but in your setting, in a skilled nursing facility or rehab, they give you a list. So what would you recommend to our listening audience on how they pick one?
Well, no, absolutely. This is going back to what I said before. You don't wake up in the morning saying, boy, I hope I go to that skilled nursing facility. So it usually takes an unexpected illness or injury that causes us to be in a position where we have to go to that skilled nursing facility. And unless you've had previous experience, which most people have not, unless you've had repeated illnesses, but most people have not. So how do you pick? You get this list from the hospital discharge planner, gives you a list and asks you to pick. And obviously, everybody wants to pick the one that's going to give us the best care, right? We want good care. We want to be able to recuperate. We want to be able to get back on our feet and get back home as quickly as possible. But how do I know which ones? So a good place to start is the Medicare website. So Medicare.gov. If you go to that website, there's a link there to the Nursing Home Compare. If you click on that, Bob, you can look up any Medicare certified nursing home in the entire country, and you can see how Medicare has rated them on the 5-star rating. So that is a great first place to start.
Has that always been around, or is that something new?
It's something that's been around for a couple of years now. They've been refining it and adding different elements, and so they're trying to, make the system better. But it's been around for a little while. And they're starting to add things like there's rating systems now for hospitals. There's a rating system for home health care.
There is.
For doctors. So, the Medicare.gov website is a great starting place for folks. The other thing I would recommend is if you're in need of a skilled nursing facility, have a loved one go and tour the facility. You can look at something online. You can look at pictures. We can hire the professional photographer to make everything good. But you really take the time and go out and talk to the people there and take a look at the facility and make sure you feel comfortable with that facility. Now, if you go on the Life Care Centers of America website under tools.
And by the way, Life Care Centers of America's website is lcca.com.
Yes, thanks, Bob. And if you look under the tools section, there's an area about selecting a care center, and it goes through some things that you want to do. It talks about checking the star ratings through Medicare, but there's other things like site. When you go to the facility, does it look good? When you pull up in the facility, do the grounds look well kept? Is the facility bright and cheery? Are the curtains hung straight? Make sure the furniture's in good repair. Another thing we ask you to look at is the taste. The taste is the food in the facility should always be tasteful and something that you would serve your own family. Smell. Now, I always warn people because we always think about nursing homes. Oh, nursing homes smell. Well, no, nursing homes should not smell.
Right.
Now there will be odors because certain patients have certain conditions, but those odors should be intermittent and they should quickly dissipate. And then touch and sound. How does that facility sound? When you walk through it, is the staff cheery? Do they greet you with a smile? Do they say hello to you? Or do you hear them all griping in the corner? Right? So these are things that you really want to pay attention to. Look, does that facility pay attention to the details of how it upkeeps that facility? These are all important things in choosing a facility.
All incredible points. So I think to sum it up, what you just said, Rich, is that Medicare.gov, look at the 5-star rating, drill down to see who else is out there, but also getting out there and having a loved one, because typically you're not going to be able to go there.
That's right.
Really tantalize the senses, the 5 senses, and you talked about all of them. And the smell is the one that I think all of us remember from our grandparents and the older generation. I mean, these skilled nursing facilities are a lot different today, and certainly Life Care Centers of America is. We're up against a break. My name is Bob Roth, and I've got Rich Lasota here in the studio from Life Care Centers of America. Rich, it's hard to believe we're down 3 segments. We've got one more. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Ken from the right side of the trade. I hope to see you at Financial Fest. Our sponsor, Online Trading Academy Phoenix, is going to be giving away some CD sets on trading currencies and futures at the festival. These sets are normally $400. They will also conduct a drawing for their 7-day Pro Trader class, a class that normally sells for $7,000. Make sure you stop by their booth and register for the drawing, and good luck. Again, make sure you stop by the Online Trading Academy Phoenix booth at Financial Fest. Hope to see you there.
Steve Jurich here. After working in financial services for over 20 years, I finally confirmed what investors really want, including me. And it's simple. All they're asking for is 20% annual return with no risk and 100% liquidity. Here's the problem. A money market is safe and liquid, but offers almost zero yield. Mutual funds and ETFs are liquid with upside potential, but aren't safe. A carefully selected next-generation index annuity through IQ Wealth may offer 10% ample liquidity, principal protection, and a lifetime income yield potentially double to triple that of quality bonds. By yielding more income using fewer dollars, our system allocates more money for you for capital growth. It's a winning combination.
Call leading annuity authority Steve Jurich now. 480-902-3333. Guarantees rely on the claims-paying ability of the insurer, so compare with Steve. 480-902-3333. Call Steve now.
Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is the top choice of doctors and nurses nationwide and should be yours. With one scan to the forehead, Exergen Temporal Scanner provides an accurate temperature stress-free. Available at your local club warehouse.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We're on our 4th segment. I've got Richard Lasota from Life Care Centers of America. He's the Division Director of Business Development, and we've been talking about skilled nursing facilities. We've been talking about rehab. We're talking about that juncture that when your loved one exits the hospital and isn't quite ready to get home, they typically will make a stay, and that stay can be 20 days, can be more, can be less, in one of their fine facilities. And we've talked about a lot of things, and when we just left off, we were talking about how you pick one of these locations, and I want to just repeat again. I mean, Life Care Centers of America is proud of their reputation, and you should definitely do your own homework and go into Medicare.gov. You can check out the ratings, but also, as Rich had recommended, go out to the facility themselves. And now you as the patient might not be able to do it, but if you're listening in and you're one of those loved ones, you've got a list from that hospital caseworker, and they give you a list of other options. Go check them out. Tantalize those 5 senses.
No, absolutely, Bob. Get out there, talk to the folks, and you know what? You really should have a good feeling when you choose a facility. It should feel right to you. It should feel good.
And observe, and if you see family members of other people that are residents there, or should I say patients there, you should go and ask them, what do they think of it?
Absolutely.
That way you get an unbiased opinion, and you'll know if this is the right place for your loved one. So, Rich, you're a nurse. And you're from Michigan, and you told me you're celebrating 25 years. Tell me a little bit about your background.
So I did. I grew up in the Detroit area in Michigan.
Tigers fan?
Tigers
Lions fan?
Not so much anymore. I am a converted Cardinals fan at this time.
Go Cards. Got a great game this weekend.
So I attended nursing school at the Henry Ford Hospital School of Nursing in Detroit. I worked many years in the ortho trauma unit. And you want to talk about differences in healthcare today versus back then in 1990. When I was a nurse on the orthopedic unit at Henry Ford in 1990, you came in and had a knee or hip replacement. You were in the hospital for 10 to 14 days.
Wow.
Nowadays, my dad had his knee replaced just a couple years ago. He was in the hospital overnight and went home with services.
He went home, but he didn't make a stay in a long-term care facility.
He did not. He was able to go home and have a successful transition home.
Wow, 10 to 15 days was...
Yeah, so those days, things have changed, and we do deliver healthcare in a much different way these days.
And I think we've learned more, too. I mean, it's amazing for me when someone has, back surgery, has had a heart attack, has had replacements, they get them up right away. Where I think, before you used to be in bed. You were bedridden for a while before you did get up.
Oh, no, absolutely. And if you're going to come to a Life Care Centers of America facility for rehab services to get you home, I always tell folks, you're coming to work. We're going to work you. We'll rest you a little bit, but this is work, and it takes work to get back on your feet, and we're going to make sure you work, and we're going to get you home as quickly and as safely as possible.
And, I wouldn't say I've ever spent any time in a long-term care facility, but I've had to rehab some injuries and surgeries, and I can tell you firsthand, and I know our listening audience knows this too, the work is hard. Really hard. Sometimes can bring you to tears, but that's the only way you're going to get better.
Absolutely. The therapy teams at our facilities are outstanding, but they are going to push you to do a little bit more. We don't want to, I hate to use the word, but we don't want to baby you because that's not going to help you progress. What's going to help you progress is having a caring therapist who's there to push you a little bit, to do a little bit more, and to get you to that next level so we can get you home safely.
And that's the key, getting you back into the routine, getting you home safely. And when you discharge, we talked about that village. You have home health, you have home care, you have people there to assist them to make that transition back into whatever was normal for their life. And that's so critical for success.
Oh, no, absolutely. That's why we talked earlier about this discharge planning process begins early on, because there are patients who don't need any services when they get home, but there are patients who need multiple services, whether it be home care or like Cypress Home Care, to come in and have somebody stay and help that patient, be there to help them with their daily living activities. But that starts early on, and we want to make sure that you are prepared once it's time to make that transition.
And if you're just tuning in right now, Cypress Home Care Solutions is a home care agency that enables and assists our people in our community. And you could be just aging at home, or you can have had an acute illness or an injury and made a stopover in one of the fine facilities at Life Care Centers of America. We assist them to be able to make that transition at home and be able to live out their life as comfortably and as independent as they choose to be. And, for us, we've been doing it for 21 years, and it's incredibly rewarding. And I will say this, and I'd love to give a shout out. One thing that we are looking for, and all of us that are in this employer-based agency model, if you would, of delivery, we're all looking for great caregivers. So I appeal to our listening audience, and I would imagine Life Care Centers of America is looking for really good clinicians. If you know of somebody that is a clinician, you know somebody that's a caregiver, you know someone that's a caring spirit and wants to make a difference in someone's life. Incredibly rewarding, the work that we do at Cypress Home Care Solutions and the work that you do over at Life Care Centers of America.
Oh, no, absolutely, Bob. Do you think about these people who have dedicated their lives to helping those who need that help at that point? Let's face it, these folks could probably go out and make just as much money sometimes working at the local fast food chain, but that's not what they want to do. They have dedicated their lives to helping other people. And I always say too, we hear when people are sick, it's easy to become angry about things. But I always tell folks, if you have a caregiver who's doing a really great job for you and you really appreciate, please verbalize to them the great job they're doing, because they need to hear that. And as a caregiver, it is tough taking care of people, but it's rewarding. And when you get a thank you, just a simple thank you from somebody, it means a lot to these folks on the front line who are doing the lion's share of the work for us.
And, that's a great segue to something I talked about last week. November is National Family Caregiving Month. And this is a month where we applaud those unsung heroes that are making the ultimate sacrifice to help a loved one, a friend, a neighbor be able to maintain that existence. And, the countless hours that they put in, the sacrifices they make are phenomenal. And, I ask everyone in our listening audience today, if you know someone that's making that ultimate sacrifice, one, thank them, but two, ask them if they need help. Because if they do need help, you or someone you know can maybe help them. And I always tell family caregivers, look to other family members, look to neighbors and friends, but if you strike out there to get assistance, then look to third-party home care agencies like Cypress Home Care Solutions that has an incredible reputation here in town to assist them in providing the care. We're not looking to take it over, but respite, as you know, Rich, is so important to recharge your batteries, to be that better caregiver for that loved one.
Oh, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right about it. Being a primary caregiver, sometimes it takes a lot of energy, and you do need at time, you need that little bit of break, what we call a little mental relaxation, right? To like you said, recharge the batteries. And that's where something like Cypress can come in and provide that respite care and to give that primary caregiver a little break. Great thing to do so that we don't have people getting burned out.
Absolutely. It's hard to believe we're finishing up our show right now, and I'm going to have you back, Rich, but you made a recent move. You're in my neck of the woods now, and I would imagine some of the people at Life Care Centers of America are listening in today.
Oh, yes, I know all the gang at the office is listening, and so...
Well, shout out to them. Yeah. Happy Friday, Friday the 13th.
Absolutely. Yes, Friday the 13th. And, those people at our office, those are the ladies and the guys who make, behind the scenes, make it work for Life Care.
Right, absolutely. And I will tell you, it's the caregivers and the team that I have at Cypress that make us look good. They're the ones that are doing the hard work, and I'll make that last appeal, Rich. If anybody's listening in, you're a clinician, you're a caregiver, you want to make a difference in someone's life, both Life Care Centers of America and Cypress Home Care are looking for good people. If you want to call over to Life Care Centers of America, you can reach them at 480-296-2600, or you can find them at lcca.com. Rich, thank you very much. Have a great day. Make it a great weekend. Go Cardinals this weekend.
Yes, go Cards.
Beat the Seahawks. We'll be back next week.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Off a record-breaking season, NAU Lumberjack basketball is ready to make a run to a Big Sky Conference championship, and you can hear all of the Lumberjack basketball action in the Valley of the Sun only on Money Radio 99.3 FM and 1510 AM.
Tune in this Monday to hear the Lumberjacks take on the Boise State Broncos. Pre-game starts at 6:30 p.m. right here on Money Radio 99.3 FM and 1510 AM.
Money Radio 1510
and 99.3 FM.
Is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K257 CD Phoenix. Join us tomorrow at the JW Marriott Desert Ridge for Financial Fest. It's all free, and there's plenty of easy parking. Just follow the signs. Right now, the Dow is down 193 points. S&P is down 22. The NASDAQ down 70.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin now.